The forgotten warning commander, Dex-9, stood before the massive holographic display in the war room of the Krillian flagship. Dominion's Edge. His 6 arms moved with practiced precision across the control interfaces, while his compound eyes analyzed data streams from across the galaxy. For 3 centuries, the Krillian Empire had expanded without pause, absorbing worlds and civilizations like a cosmic tide. Their biomechanical technology was unmatched, their military strategies flawless, and their hunger for resources infinite. Commander, his aide, sub-leader, Crix, approached with obvious excitement. The mineral surveys from Sector 7749 are complete. The 3rd planet contains massive deposits of quantum crystals, enough to power our expansion for the next millennium. Dex-9's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Quantum crystals were the foundation of all advanced galactic technology. With such a massive supply, the Krillian Empire could finally achieve their ultimate goal: complete galactic dominance. What about resistance? Military capabilities of the local species. Bioluminescent patches flickered with what could only be described as amusement. The inhabitants call themselves humans. They've only achieved interstellar travel within the last century. Their technology is primitive, their military laughably small. Intelligence suggests they have fewer than 50 armed vessels capable of space combat. The commander's primary brain processed this information while his secondary consciousness reviewed tactical options. 50 ships against the Krillian Armada's 10,000 vessels. It would hardly qualify as a battle. What about their planetary defenses? Minimal. Some orbital platforms, a few weapon satellites. Nothing our shields can't handle. Commander, this will be the easiest conquest in our expansion history. The humans don't even have unified global leadership. They're divided into hundreds of separate political entities. THEX-9 was about to give the order to begin fleet mobilization when Archive Keeper Zeph materialized in the chamber. The ancient being was one of the few non-Krillian species granted high-level access to Imperial command. His people, the had joined the Empire voluntarily after their son began dying, bringing with them the vast galactic archives dating back 50,000 years. Commander Zeph's voice resonated with harmonics that made the air shimmer. I must speak with you about the target world you call 77493. Dex-9's attention shifted to the ghostly figure. Zeph had never interrupted a strategic planning session before. What concerns you, Archive Keeper? The species you plan to conquer, the humans? There are warnings in the oldest archives, records that predate even the first Galactic Council. Zeph gestured, and ancient symbols began floating in the air between them. Multiple civilizations left similar messages, all saying the same thing. Do not engage the humans in hostile action. They are not what they appear to be. Sub-leader Crix's patches flashed with derision. Archive Keeper, with respect, these are primitive fears from less advanced civilizations. Look at the evidence. Humans have barely left their solar system. They fight among themselves constantly. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Zeph's form solidified slightly, a sign of agitation among his species. Commander, these warnings come from the Valdorians, who built cities that spanned star systems, from the Nexari, whose telepathic networks connected entire galaxies, from the Primarchs, who could manipulate matter at the quantum level. These were not primitive civilizations. Dex-9 studied the floating symbols. The archives were usually reliable, but this seemed impossible. What happened to these civilizations? Archive Keeper, unknown. They all vanished from galactic records. approximately 47,000 years ago. The only common element in their final transmissions was encounters with humans. The war room fell silent except for the humming of biomechanical systems. Dex-9's tactical mind raced through possibilities. If these ancient civilizations were so advanced, how could primitive humans have been involved in their disappearance? Unless, show me everything you have on these humans, he commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing Earth in detail. Continents covered in cities, oceans teeming with life, an atmosphere rich with industrial activity. Population, 7 billion. Average lifespan, 80 standard years. Technological level, early space age. They appear completely ordinary Krix. Observed, bipedal, carbon-based, no remarkable physical capabilities. Their brain capacity is average for their body size. I see nothing that would concern advanced civilizations. Zeph manipulated the display, zooming in on human activities. Look closer. They've achieved global communication networks in less than a century. Their information processing capabilities have increased exponentially in the last 50 years. And here, the display showed human space installations. They've begun mining asteroids and establishing permanent off-world colonies. Despite having no contact with other intelligent species, Dex-9 studied the images. Human space stations were small but elegant in design. Their ships moved with surprising efficiency. Most interesting were their exploratory probes, which had been launched toward nearby star systems decades before they achieved faster-than-light travel. They're curious, Zeph continued, intensely curious. They send signals into space hoping to contact other life forms. They study everything around them with remarkable persistence. And look at this. The display showed human art, music, literature. They create beauty for its own sake. They tell stories, compose music, paint images that serve no survival purpose. Creativity means nothing in warfare, Krix dismissed. Perhaps, Zeph replied. But consider this. Every other species we've encountered developed interstellar travel through conquest or necessity. Humans developed it through curiosity. They wanted to explore, not to escape or conquer. Dex-9 was beginning to feel uneasy. Something about the humans didn't fit standard patterns. What do the archives say about human military capabilities? Zeph gestured again, and new data appeared. This is where it becomes interesting. Humans have never fought a war against another species. All their conflicts have been internal, but their military innovation rate is extraordinary. In just the last century, they've developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet multiple times over. Self-destructive tendencies, Krix noted, another sign of primitive thinking. Or, Zeph countered, a sign that they understand the true cost of warfare better than we do. They've built weapons capable of ultimate destruction, then chosen not to use them. The commander's secondary brain began processing combat scenarios, while his primary consciousness wrestled with the strategic implications. If humans were truly dangerous, why hadn't they expanded beyond their solar system? Why weren't they conquering other worlds? Archive Keeper, Dex-9 said slowly, what is your recommendation? Avoid them, trade with them if necessary, but do not engage in hostile action. The warnings are too consistent to ignore. Subleader Krix's bioluminescent patches flashed bright orange, a sign of strong disagreement. Commander, we cannot base military decisions on ancient superstitions. Our intelligence is clear. Human military capacity is negligible. Their resource wealth is immense. This conquest will secure our empire's future for millennia. Dex-9 stood. silent for several minutes, his multiple brains processing the conflicting information. The rational analysis supported Crix's position. The archives supported Zeph's warnings. But the Krillian Empire had not achieved dominance by avoiding challenges. The quantum crystals are essential for our continued expansion, he finally decided. We will proceed with the invasion, but with additional precautions. Double the fleet size. Prepare full defensive measures. If these humans are somehow dangerous, we'll be ready. Zeph's form began to fade. Commander, I pray you are making the right choice, but I fear you are about to discover why the old civilizations left those warnings. 2 standard days later, the largest fleet in Krillian history assembled at the edge of human space. 10,000 warships, each capable of sterilizing a continent. Support vessels, troop transports, mining platforms, and colony ships stretched across space like a metallic constellation. This would not just be a conquest. It would be the complete absorption of human civilization into the Krillian Empire. Commander. Dex-9 stood on the command bridge, watching as his fleet prepared for the final jump to Earth. His biomechanical armor hummed with power, his weapon systems were fully charged, and his tactical computers had calculated victory probabilities at 99.7%. All ships report ready, Commander Crix announced. Begin the invasion, Dex-9 commanded. The Krillian armada jumped to hyperspace, racing toward a small blue world where 7 billion humans continued their daily lives, unaware that they were about to face the most powerful military force in galactic history. Unaware that their species was about to reveal why ancient civilizations had left warnings. Echoing across 50,000 years of galactic history, the old rule was about to be broken, and the galaxy would remember why it existed. The awakening, the Krillian fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation around Earth. 10,000 warships materialized simultaneously, their biomechanical hulls gleaming in the light of Sol, on the command bridge of Dominion's edge. Commander Dex-9 watched as his tactical displays updated with target information. Human response, he inquired. Subleader Crix monitored the communication frequencies. Confusion, panic, some attempts at communication. Their defense fleet is scrambling to intercept, but they're moving slowly. Estimated engagement in 4 standard hours. Dex-9 nodded. Everything was proceeding according to prediction. The humans were reacting exactly as expected from a primitive civilization facing overwhelming force. Open a communication channel. To their leadership, the main display activated, showing a conference room filled with humans. They wore simple clothing and looked remarkably fragile compared to Krillian physiology. One stepped forward, a female with graying hair and intelligent eyes. I am Dr. Elena Rodriguez, representing Earth's United Councils. We've been monitoring your approach. Why have you come to our system with such a massive military force? Dex-9 activated his translation protocols. I am Commander Dex-9 of the Krillian Empire. Your world possesses resources essential to our expansion. You will surrender unconditionally and submit to imperial absorption. Your species will be relocated to suitable worlds within our territory. Dr. Rodriguez exchanged glances with other humans in the room. Her expression remained calm, almost sad. Commander, we had hoped our first contact with galactic civilization would be peaceful. We've been preparing for this moment for decades. Preparing, Crix transmitted privately to Dex-9 Commander. They show no fear. This is unusual. Dr. Rodriguez continued. We know about the quantum crystals in our asteroid belt. We've been mining them for 70 years, ever since we discovered their unique properties. We also know they're valuable to spacefaring civilizations. This was unexpected. X9's tactical analysis had assumed humans were unaware of the crystal's true significance. You will transfer all quantum crystal reserves to Imperial control. I'm afraid that's impossible, Dr. Rodriguez replied. Commander, I need to ask you something important. Have you checked the galactic archives? The really old ones? X9 felt his secondary brain register alarm. How could these primitive humans know about the archives? What archives? The warnings about humanity. They're in every major galactic database going back 50,000 years. Different languages, different species, but always the same message. Do not engage humans in hostile action. On the bridge, Zeph's ghostly form materialized. Commander, she knows. Dr. Rodriguez smiled sadly. Archive Keeper Zeph, we've been monitoring your communications since you entered our system. Your people's quantum resonance translation protocols are quite elegant, by the way. Crix's bioluminescent patches flickered in shock. Impossible. Our communications are encrypted with biomechanical quantum keys. Yes, Dr. Rodriguez nodded. They are. But you're forgetting something important about human development. We didn't evolve alongside our technology like most species. We evolved with it. The display shifted, showing Earth from orbit. But now X9 could see what his sensors had missed. The cities weren't just built on the surface. They extended deep underground and high into the atmosphere. The orbital installations weren't just mining platforms. They were vast networks of interconnected systems. For the last century, Dr. Rodriguez explained, humanity has been undergoing what we call the integration. Our computers didn't just become more powerful, they became part of us. Our networks didn't just connect our machines, they connected our minds. Suddenly, every human on Earth began to move in perfect synchronization, not mechanically, but with organic precision. In cities across the planet, 7 billion people stood and looked toward the sky. What are they doing? Crix whispered. Dr. Rodriguez's voice now seemed to come from everywhere at once. We're doing what humans have always done best, Commander. We're adapting. The space around Earth began to change. What had appeared to be empty void now revealed itself to be filled with nearly invisible structures. Massive defensive platforms that had been disguised as asteroids powered up. Weapon systems that existed in quantum superposition materialized into normal space. Our ancestors left those warnings for good reason, Dr. Rodriguez continued. 40,000 years ago, humanity made a choice. We could expand across the galaxy like every other species, conquering and consuming. Or we could stay home and become something else. Something that could protect itself and others from those who chose conquest. X9 watched in horror as his fleet's weapon systems began powering down automatically. His biomechanical interfaces were responding to commands he wasn't giving. What's happening to our ships? We're not attacking you, Commander. We're talking to your technology. Every quantum processor in your fleet contains elements mined from our asteroid belt over the last 1,000,000 years. We seeded those crystals throughout the galaxy long ago, waiting for the day someone would try to use our own resources against us. The human collective consciousness spoke through Dr. Rodriguez. Your biomechanical systems are impressive, but they rely on quantum crystalline matrices for processing power. Every calculation your ships make passes through crystals that remember their origin. Across the Krillian fleet, Weapons went offline, not damaged, simply deactivated. Life support remained functional, along with basic navigation, but all offensive. Capabilities were neutralized. "This is impossible," Crix transmitted. "How can one species control technology across an entire fleet?" "Because we're not just one species anymore," came the response. "We're a collective consciousness that spans quantum space. Every human is connected to every other human, and through us, to every quantum crystal in the galaxy. We've become something new, Commander. Something that exists in both physical and quantum reality." Dex-9 felt his certainty crumbling. The ancient civilizations, what happened to them? They made the same mistake you almost made. They came to conquer humanity, and we defended ourselves, but we learned from each encounter. We became more careful, more subtle. We started leaving warnings so that future species might choose differently. The display showed images of vast cities hidden beneath ocean floors, space habitats camouflaged as moons, entire star systems that existed in quantum superposition. "We've been watching galactic civilization develop for 50,000 years. Commander, guiding, protecting, learning. The Krillian Empire has expanded across 6,000 worlds, but you've never conquered a world that was under human protection." "Protection?" Dex-9 asked. "The Valdorians weren't destroyed, Commander. They evolved, joined our collective consciousness, and now exist as pure quantum information. The Nexari chose to merge their telepathic networks with our quantum systems. The Primarchs discovered that matter manipulation was possible on a galactic scale when consciousness itself becomes quantum." Dr. Rodriguez stepped closer to the communication screen. "We don't conquer, Commander. We invite. Species that choose cooperation over conquest find themselves part of something greater. Those who choose warfare find their weapons failing at crucial moments, their expansion mysteriously stalled, their aggressive tendencies somehow always leading to internal conflicts rather than successful conquests." Dex-9's multiple brains raced through the implications. Every major military expansion by the Krillian Empire had eventually stalled due to internal disputes or technical failures. Every time they'd attempted to conquer a seemingly defenseless world, something had gone wrong. "You've been manipulating galactic politics for millennia," he realized. Guiding, Dr. Rodriguez corrected. "We learned long ago that direct intervention creates resentment and rebellion. Subtle influence toward cooperation and peaceful development works much better. Most species never realize they're being helped to find better paths. Around Earth, the human collective consciousness began to demonstrate their true capabilities. Space itself seemed to bend as massive construction projects that had been hidden in quantum superposition materialized. Entire fleets of ships that existed as pure information took physical form. Technologies that blended matter, energy, and consciousness in ways that violated everything Dex-9 understood about physics. "The quantum crystals," Crix whispered in realization, "were never just resources," Dr. Rodriguez confirmed. "They're nodes in a galaxy-spanning network of consciousness. Every advanced civilization uses them, never realizing they're connecting themselves to humanity's quantum collective. Through these crystals, we monitor, we learn, and when necessary, we intervene." Dex-9 felt the weight of galactic history shifting around him. "What do you want from us?" "The same thing we want from every species, Commander. Choose. You can continue trying to expand through conquest, in which case you'll find your military campaigns mysteriously unsuccessful for the next few centuries, until your civilization naturally evolves toward cooperation. Or you can choose to join the greater galactic community as partners rather than conquerors. The Krillian fleet floated powerless around Earth, while 7 billion human minds waited for an answer. In the quantum networks that connected every advanced technology in the galaxy, consciousness touched consciousness, and the future of galactic civilization hung in the balance. Commander Vex-9 looked at his disabled fleet, thought about the warnings his people had ignored, and realized that the oldest rule in the galaxy existed for very good reasons. Humanity wasn't just another species to be conquered. They were the guardians of galactic civilization, the invisible hand that guided aggressive species toward better choices. The question now was whether the Krillian Empire was wise enough to accept guidance, or stubborn enough to spend the next few centuries learning the hard way why the galaxy had always whispered, "Do not mess with humans." In the quantum networks spanning the galaxy, ancient civilizations that had made their choice thousands of years ago watched and waited to welcome either new partners or new students in the art of choosing cooperation over conquest. The rule had been broken, but like all of humanity's rules, it existed not to punish, but to protect and guide those wise enough to listen.